everybody. We got a great one today. You know, for a change, Kevin Nealon, my old SNL buddy, is my guest. Now, most of you remember Kevin from our SNL days together. After that, he starred in the TV show Weeds and has been hosting his own program, Hiking with Kevin. I did an episode of that a few years back, and you can watch it on YouTube. Kevin also tours, and for my money, is one of the best stand-ups around. It's always fun to have a comedian on the show to take a break from our usual episodes, so I was really glad to get in the studio with Kevin for this one. You know, I'm often asked what my favorite part of working at SNL was, and I always say it was those Tuesday nights / Wednesday mornings when the first draft of the show got written. Your job is to write sketches for that Saturday show, and in the middle of the night, you're hearing everybody else's ideas just flying around. I'll never forget Kevin and Dana doing Hans and Franz for the first time for the rest of us, and we were falling on the floor laughing. Hans and Franz were the broadest characters. Hear me now and believe me later. Oh, I can't do them. But they were the broadest, stupidest characters. And Kevin, to me, was always the best attitude player in the cast. Not that they weren't all great attitude players in that cast, but Kevin was the best. Well, let's get right to it. We've got a great one today. You know, for a change, Kevin Nealon is our guest, and I know you'll enjoy it. Okay, I'm so thrilled to have my friend Kevin Nealon with us.
That's as thrilled as you get. It doesn't look thrilled at all.
Oh, you're right.
It's almost like you're waiting for a bus.
You know, I'm so thrilled that this bus
is coming.
Smile.
You got to have a smile at least. Have you ever been thrilled before? Be honest with me.
Have I ever been thrilled? Yes.
When was the last time you were thrilled?
Well, that's none of your business.
No, I was going to hope you said that when I came in.
Okay, I'm thrilled to have you.
I believe that now.
Yeah. And Kevin, one of the funniest cast members we ever had on SNL during the whole 50 years. Can you believe that?
Oh, man. But, you know, for me, it was over 30 years ago I was on that show. Is that crazy?
Yeah, and I left. The same for me, because that's when I left it.
And you were there for a long time.
I did 15 seasons.
You did 15. And didn't you run the show at one point?
I did.
Was it the weird year?
That was the weird year. We had a year where, you know, I don't want to blame Lorne for his casting choices, but we had a very young cast.
Lorne had something to do with that? I thought that was before he came back.
No, that was the year he came back.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and we had Anthony Michael Hall, who was...
all good actors, Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, won an Oscar. Exactly. No, he's great, but he was 19 at the time or something like that, and I think Hall was like 17, maybe.
Yeah.
And, you know, we just couldn't have them play senators. And we couldn't do a Senate hearing.
Yeah, and you couldn't have stunt cast back then.
Yeah. And so the next year, and the network was threatening of canceling the show. Can you imagine that? Because 35 years later, what a dumb move it would have been to cancel the show. But anyway, so Lorne, then we picked a cast. Dennis Miller. Was Dennis in the first?
He was there in that weird year.
Dennis, he was there the weird year.
Yeah,
he
Dennis
did
and Nora were there.
That's right, Nora Dunn, who worked with you.
Yeah.
With Victoria and Jan.
Jan Hooks, yeah.
Jan Hooks. Did you work with Jan before SNL? I read something somewhere that you had worked with her like a year before that you came to SNL. Or did you know her before?
Jan and I were great friends for 6 years. I met her at an audition for some sketch show at 20th Century Fox. And we had some time in the waiting room to kind of converse, and I really liked her. I really fell in love with her talent. She was so talented.
Unbelievable.
You know? Yeah, incredible.
I mean, she was, you know what, I watched the Bush-Dukakis debate recently with, of course, Dana is Bush and Lovitz is Dukakis, and she was Diane Sawyer.
That's right.
And she just made me laugh so hard in that because she was she tried to be a little sexy.
Yeah. But buffing the hair on the side.
And a wink here or there while completely boring into both of them. Yeah. So, I mean, she could do shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see Diane Sawyer at the 50th anniversary. A couple
She was
weeks ago.
there?
Yeah, she was.
Well, yes, she had
Acting
been.
kind of sexy, winking.
She she had been a good friend of Mike Nichols.
That's right.
And Lauren and Mike Nichols were tight.
That's right.
So how did it happen that we had all this? So I get a call like from you on Sunday saying I can't do it on Tuesday. Today is
You're talking
Tuesday.
about the podcast.
I'm
today.
talking about the podcast now.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you putting me through. I had to call my team. We had to reschedule. People had it was Peter on the East Coast in Baltimore, who's my producer. I had Sheer here. I mean, it was
You're at Nassau Space Center in Houston.
No, I don't.
Okay, I was just feeling it out. Well, let me tell you what happened. First of all, I've never been in that position before where I've kind of created havoc like that, kind of diva havoc before something. But on this particular occasion, I did panic because I looked at my schedule and it showed our podcast day as yesterday. And I thought, that is crazy because I have this scheduled an hour and a half away and I'll never be able to get back from Melrose in time. And my wife was not happy about it. And so I said, well, I'm going to call and see if we can move this. So I was panicking. I was calling from Richard Lewis's memorial, you know.
There was a memorial for Richard?
There was, yeah, a year later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I'm sorry that you had to
go
through this during that.
I apologize to Richard Lewis. So anyway, because I didn't want to leave you high and dry, because I've been in that position before where people are just really impossible, you know. So I'm thinking, oh, now here I'm that person. I'm being impossible. I'm, last minute, because we not double booked, but we double confirmed that this was the date because we had to push it back a little bit. Anyway, long story short, I found out that my iPhone calendar was splitting a day, so I could see half of what's on the next day, and your name was half on the next day. You know what I mean?
I kind of
get
it. Yeah,
just like there was two.
It's a great
on the
cover
same day.
story.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more good stuff here. So anyway, I panicked, and then I finally realized, wait a minute, I'm looking at this calendar wrong. So I had to call you back and Peter. And here's the funny thing is I left a long message from Peter and never heard back from him. And then I get a text from Albert Brooks saying, hey, did you mean to call me on this one? I don't know who,
really?
I want to make sure that this guy gets the message,
So
somehow I
called Albert Brooks.
Called Albert Brooks by mistake.
You're having a rough period. Does this have anything? Can I ask you about how your MRI went yesterday?
I had to cancel because of my cold. There's one thing I didn't cancel because of my cold. You know what it is?
This.
Oh.
And
I gave you a forewarning too. I said, hey, we can always reschedule this if you want, but I have a really bad cold. And as you slide back a little bit further.
Yeah, I slid back just.
I mean, it's not in the chest. It's just congestion,
Yeah.
First of all, here's what I had to cancel the last 2 days. An MRI on Monday and this morning, root canal.
Oh.
I've had this cold for 2 days. I got back from the road. You always get it on an airplane.
Yeah.
It might be COVID. I don't even know.
But there are tests.
Well, they're saying now that, if they don't even ask you if you have COVID, if you're doing a job like on a movie or something, they don't even ask you because it's like a cold now. That's all. There's no side effects or threat to dying.
What, you can give it to somebody else.
Yeah, but
they're not going to die is what you're saying.
No, they're not going to die. Get rid of it.
What if you're doing a movie with a lot of 90-year-olds?
Doesn't matter.
And you have COVID.
Doesn't matter.
I think it does.
Well, because you're 90.
I am not 90. I am older than you.
Wouldn't it be great if you could give away your cold and then you wouldn't have it anymore?
You mean, I see. Is giving someone a cold would mean you, yeah.
You no longer are congested or have the cold.
Well, they're working on that.
That would be great, man. I know a lot of people I want to give
Hopkins.
a cold to. Is it John Hopkins or is it John Hopkins?
It's Johns Hopkins for some reason.
I always get that wrong. Johns Hopkins. It's almost like he owns the Hopkins, right? Yeah. It's Johns Hopkins.
That's, I guess that's what it's from. So can I ask you about what
you
can
MRI
ask me?
Was for? You can ask me anything you want.
Okay.
Except things that I don't want to answer.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you could ask me the MRI. I get MRIs once a year, starting a couple of years ago. because they discovered I had a meningioma tumor, not in the brain,
In your head,
between the skull and the brain.
between the skull and the brain.
It's benign.
It's benign. So
It's not
that's what
life-threatening.
what did you call it again?
Meningioma.
And that is always benign?
No.
No.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
And how big is this thing?
You've seen my car, right? When I pulled in. It's a lot bigger than my head, I'll tell you that. No, it's maybe an inch by a half an inch.
And there's no danger to you if it doesn't grow, but if it grows, then
Well, that's why I get an MRI. But
Yeah.
it hasn't been growing in the last couple of years, so I wasn't even going to go get one. But then the doctor goes, "Hey, you should go get one just to be on the
you
safe
should
side."
do it every year.
Yeah, but the crazy
least.
thing is, listen to this, Al. My wife has one the same size in the exact same location.
Are you kidding me?
No,
Susan has
Yeah.
the exact same tumor?
meningioma tumor, same size, benign. And I don't know, maybe we're soulmates. Maybe that's the way you could find out if you're soulmate. I don't know what it's from. Is it a cell phone or what?
Okay.
What do you have? How many tumors do you have? Oh,
Well, I've one sticking out here. No, I've been fortunate, knock on
You have
wood.
been
It's
fortunate.
nothing to joke about.
no, it's not.
But a benign meningioma, is that what you call it?
Yeah.
That's, if you're going to have one, that's the kind to have, right?
Yeah. So if you're listening, try to get it. Just try to get it because it is the best one. It's not really a joke. It's more of a point of
Attitude.
view.
It's like
Attitude.
you do attitude.
I asked you once, I said, Al, do you think I was the straight man on SNL? And you said what?
No, it's all the attitude. You were, I'd say, the best attitude player ever in the history of the show.
Well, thank you.
I mean,
I was
kind of by far.
I was never one for broad comedy because I never did sketch work before SNL. It was always stand-up. And I'm also a good, not an imposter, but a good right with the BS. So I could like take,
Yes.
I'm like a chameleon in that way with the attitude.
You are a chameleon.
So I think that's where the attitude comes in from.
But that's where that comes in helpful in being on in a cast.
Yeah, yeah.
So you didn't do any groundlings or anything
No.
like that. You did stand up.
Stand up. You know, people always say, hey, you've never improvised before. But the thing is, we all improvise in our life.
You're one of the greatest improvisers I know.
Well, it is documented. Yeah, that is
Well,
true.
no, but I mean, your mind is, I think of you as a great improviser.
Thank you. But maybe in a certain...
Now that would be a good time for a great improviser.
Yes, and in a certain respect, I probably am, but I cannot, like these great improv players at the Groundlings or Second City, you give them, you know, a film type, film noir, and this and that, and then they go right into
Okay, well,
it.
that's a training and a skill that you don't have, but I'm talking about...
I'm able to roll with stuff.
Yeah, but your attitude, I called you also an attitude player.
Yeah.
Like in Chippendales.
Right.
Okay.
Keeping the straight face.
Well, you just lay out the premise, which is this has been a really hard...
Believe me, we have been struggling up here to kind of come to a decision, and I'm sorry. We're going to have to go with Patrick Swayze, or whatever his name was.
It was, God, he had a name.
You know who
character had a name.
Do you know who would know that name right away? Jim Downey.
Jim Downey wrote the piece.
But he knows everything about
Jim
SNL.
Downey was one of the great writers on the show.
Yeah.
Not the greatest. And he wrote Chippendales.
Yeah.
I had one line in it. Mike Myers' line, this is the part of the job I hate.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
And when it comes to judging.
But that was it. So my name was on it. And at read through, they put the names of the writers on it. So it was Downey Franken, but I had written one line. I just kind of sat with him while he just conjured this whole thing.
Well, that was smart on his behalf, because if you put a good writer's name on a script, it's more likely to get on, because Lauren will see it and go, oh, Al's one of the writers here. Let's take a close look at this.
I think he did it out of an ethos. I wrote a line, and so Al gets his name on it. I was a little embarrassed because I literally wrote, but that's a good line, right?
It's a great line.
Yeah. This is the part of the job I hate. And basically you were saying that you've had so many tryouts and it's just impossible to choose between these two. And you're going to do one
That's
last.
right.
And it's Everybody's Working for the Weekend as a song. And Swayze was a dancer and had a perfectly chiseled male body.
Even though he told me he never works out.
Is that right?
Yeah, it must be from dancing.
Yeah, well.
But I like the way Farley wanted to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And we were, no, I'm sorry.
No. Well, that's please. When he adopts like you've told him that Swayze is the guy. And at one point he starts trying to look sultry.
Yeah.
And you have to go, no.
I'm sorry. It's been decided.
Barney.
Is that
I'm sorry, Barney. That's the other thing. I named Barney.
So that's
I think Swayze was Adrian.
Isn't it funny? Like 35 years later, you still remember because you put so much work. We put so much work in writing these sketches, and you're up all night sometimes. And so 35
that to me,
years later,
by the way, was the funnest. Anyone ever asked me what's the funnest thing you've ever moment? What if you want to crystallize a moment on SNL? Working on SNL, it was Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. 3 in the morning, and you're falling on the floor laughing. You know, whether it was you guys coming in with your Hans and Franz, you know, what you've been writing.
Right.
But you know how our job is to make the show funny.
Right.
And on a bad night, and you're not writing anything funny, it's horrible. But on a good night, when you're clicking and things are flying back and forth, and everyone else is making you laugh, nothing is more enjoyable than that.
That's right. Well, I will tell you, I'm not a night person. So Tuesdays, very rarely did I work through the night. I would start writing earlier on Tuesday so that by 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning, I would be done.
Well, that's good. That was that reflects a good work habit.
I mean, it's like,
as opposed to the rest of us.
Do you know who had the best work habits?
Who? The Turners?
No, Jack Handy.
Oh my God!
He would come in with his briefcase. 7 o'clock?
Well, we should say what Jack Handy wrote. The Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer.
Yeah,
Since the Cat.
So many of those off the wall kind of. I remember literally off the wall.
Johnny Canal. Remember Johnny Canal? He's the guy who wants to connect every city in America. This is in the 1830s or something, with a canal.
How about the Jack Handy sketch where it starts with a mounted head on the wall and it keeps going down to a mouse's head that's mounted a little bit more until it's like a grasshopper head mounted on the wall. And somebody's just talking about each one. But he was great. And also he had those handy, the sayings,
Deep thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. So he was the one who had really the best discipline.
One was about a jumbo shrimp that you could ride it during the day and then eat it at the campfire at night.
Yeah. By the way, my voice is not always this deep or sexy. It's part of the
very sexy.
Well, this is the other half of that thing. I texted you this morning and said, Al, I got a cold.
Well, thanks for coming in.
And I know you thought that maybe I was trying to squirm out of it still.
No, because you could have done it at home. You would have done it at home.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of you lately.
You have?
Yeah. Maybe a little too much. You think?
Well, I don't know. I doubt it. I'm not that. Where did you see me?
I think you
some cable news show or something.
Probably C-SPAN. You introduced everybody to C-SPAN. Nobody knew what C-SPAN was.
That was one of the gifts I gave the show.
You and Bonnie and Terry Turner. I think they were into C-SPAN as well.
And Downey.
But you and I wrote a lot on different things. I would tell you. I think because you got my attitude or whatever. But I remember when we were trying to get people to write for Weekend Update when I was on there. Nobody wanted to write because, it's not as glorifying as having a sketch or a character you've created for Monday to people talk about.
Yeah, and there was an update breakfast and barely anyone
So
came.
Lauren put together an update breakfast that Saturday morning because you can't write jokes before that because the late night talk show hosts do them all. So this is before internet, back in the 1900s. And Lauren would have someone put all the newspapers on that big table and AP photos. There was no Google, And then he would hire, he had this caterer come in that had a warm breakfast and everything, all a great, great breakfast.
Yeah.
And the only people that would come would be you, because you were a kind of a political pundit. You love politics. And then Tom Davis would come to sip.
My partner.
Yeah, your partner. And then a lot of new writers would come. Not a lot, but some. And they weren't that good because they were new and they're still kind of feeling their way. And then Norm would come up and he would get breakfast and just read a paper. That's all he did. He didn't write anything. He just wanted to come up and have breakfast and read a paper.
That's crazy because Norm did update after you left.
Norm didn't even know who anybody was. Like, he's from Canada. He didn't know a lot of the people in the news. Because I remember one day he asked me who somebody was. And I forget who it was, but it was somebody that was high up in the government.
Well, he ended up doing an update. I competed when you decided that you were going to leave.
Really?
I competed with Norm for the update position.
Right.
And he got it. And I think it was because I was so known as a liberal comment, I had shown where I was and Norm hadn't. And I thought Norm did a terrific job in update.
Great job. Yeah. He had a certain, talking about attitude, he had a certain kind of a disposition or personality that was kind of just, you knew that he was having fun and he was walking down that line and didn't really
always
seem to
on
care.
The line.
Yeah.
And of course, Don Ohlmeyer was the president of the network at the time. And he was a very good friend of O.J. Simpson's.
Right.
You knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like a good friend, he didn't let the fact that his friend murdered his wife and a guy end that friendship.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess the appeals were I don't think this was this during the trial?
I think it was during the trial and maybe afterwards too.
Yeah, and afterwards,
so, yeah.
he just Norm would do an OJ joke. What were some of those jokes like? It was
a lot of the high speed chase or the slow speed chase thing, and about looking for the killer. Maybe he's on the golf course somewhere. That kind of stuff. But I did not decide to leave Weekend Update. I was pushed out as well.
Was that Ohlmeyer?
I think it was.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, it was Ohlmeyer.
Well, he pushed Norm out. He ended up pushing Norm out, who was amazing.
And you know what's crazy? I've always wanted to golf at Bel Air Country Club.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a rap party for this show that was run by the same guy that created 24 with Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. It's a kind of a conservative guy. And he was good friends with Ohlmeyer and with Rush Limbaugh. So he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, do you want to golf at Bel Air?" I said, "Yeah, I've always been, yeah. Are you kidding me? Sure." And he goes and he comes back to me and he goes, "Okay, you got 9 o'clock tee time on Saturday. You'll be golfing with Don Ohlmeyer and Rush Limbaugh." So I thought he was joking at first. And so I had to weigh the pros and cons, and I really wanted to golf there. So I end up going there and I'm golfing with Rush Limbaugh and Don Ohlmeyer.
I would have done that, although I don't think I would have been invited. But
I don't think there was one sentence directed at me. The only interaction I had was on the 9th hole when I hit the ball. It was landed right by the hole for a birdie, and Rush Limbaugh gives me the finger.
Well, that was funny, right?
It was.
Yeah.
But that's the only interaction I've had with him.
So are you a good golfer?
No. But I got lucky on that shot.
But you like playing.
I used to like playing golf, but now it's here's the thing for me, Al. When I'm working on something or I'm busy doing things or I'm tired of doing things, I think, man, I sure would like to be golfing right now. And then I go golfing sometime and I think, boy, I sure would like to be home editing this thing now. You know what I mean? I think it should be only 9 holes because I get bored after 9 holes. I really do. I get bored from hitting the ball. So
can't
poorly.
you do 9 and just come in?
Well, I'm at that point
because the 9th hole is usually by the clubhouse, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But that's what I'm doing from now on.
I used to caddy when I was a kid.
What did you make per bag?
I can't really remember, but it was, at the time, it was actual real money.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that much.
It wasn't Bitcoin.
No.
Now they tell you, okay, I'm going to give you 20 Bitcoin, and you never see it. You think, oh, that guy was nice. 20, that's a lot.
Wait a minute. Bitcoin is actually being used by people as remuneration.
Well, it's a great way to tip somebody when you never really have to tip them because you can't see a Bitcoin and you say, I'm giving you 20 Bitcoins. Do you know what I'm saying?
I see.
So any way to get around being cheap, I try to investigate. So yeah, so $5 I got per bag, and I would do double bags sometimes.
Yeah, I double bag all the time. Yeah. And they go on the cart, and you'd catch up to them, and you were responsible for finding the balls they hit way into the rough.
Yeah.
And did you ever have troubles finding them?
Oh yeah, all the time. Sometimes I would be looking for them, I can't find them, so I just leave the bag there and I continue home.
No, I got a string of not being able to find him. I had a guy say, "You must be the worst caddy in the world." And I said, "No, that'd be too big a coincidence." Because I was 12.
But that's how you made money in the summer, and then in the winter, of course, you grew up in Wisconsin,
Minnesota. You shovel snow.
You shovel snow, man. I would make so much money, or I thought it was a lot of money back then. But in California, in the winter, my son had to do this thing for school. It's like being an entrepreneur. So their first thing they were going to try, him and his buddy, was window washing. They know nothing about window washing.
Right.
They have a bucket of water they bring with them, like it's going to clean the whole house.
A squeegee kind of thing?
A squeegee that was a very narrow squeegee.
Not big enough to really do windows.
Not big enough, and it wasn't like broken in, so it was hard. You had to push it down really hard. And then they had like one cloth. And they got $30 to wash these windows in a business in Westwood, a pet store, like 5 big windows, $30.
How long did it take?
They thought it would take maybe an hour. It took 4 hours.
Yeah.
For $30. And yeah, so that was
$30 for 4 hours would have been fine when I was in
shoveling driveways,
1963 or something like that. When I was 12 and
Oh yeah, because $30 back then was like $2,000.
Something like that.
I told him.
I filled a tank of gas yesterday. It was $70.
Oh, you know what? When I drove out to L.A. from Connecticut with a buddy of mine, it was 1976. We kept track of our gas because we were going to split it at the end. So I'm looking at in Boise, Idaho, we filled up the tank for $7.60. I think the entire trip was like $200.
What year is this?
76, 77. But I was getting back to when you live in California, there's no shoveling driveway. So I thought of a great idea. Once in a while, guys will come by your house and they want to paint your address on the curb in front of your house.
Mm-hmm.
And they say it's, there's no charge for it. You could tip, if you want, usually get like $20 or whatever. So we had it done. And those guys make a lot of money. And it takes like maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's a stencil.
Can of white spray paint and a stencil.
Yeah.
That's it. A lot easier than shoveling drivers for $20.
You figure so. I want to talk about some of the stuff you did on SNL. Mr. Subliminal.
That was the first sketch I ever did. I remember right before it went on, and we wrote that together. Yep. Right before I went on, it was like 10 seconds away from the commercial coming back. Lauren puts his hand on my shoulders and he said, "Are you sure this is what you want?" But that was something.
God, what a confidence builder.
That was something I did in my act, and I called it tagging, where you just slip a word in there like nobody heard it. And then you and I got together, and you had the idea of making like a subliminal advertising thing where I get my way.
Right.
And we both pounded that out. And
we pounded that
and it went well. It went well. I mean, the next day people are recognizing me on the street, and nobody could say subliminal. They don't know how to say it. It's always, "Hey, I love that subliminal thing that you do, the subliminal."
I remember one of the things was push-up bra.
Yeah.
That was one of
the insertions. They're the words.
Yeah.
Push-up bra. Hey, you're looking really great today, push-up bra. I like what you're doing. But that's like 2 conversations going on at once. So to have that as a first sketch was kind of intimidating. And you can't really read that off the cue cards. And I memorized that. I had that down in my head. I worked on that as a first sketch.
Right.
You know,
you were good with cards, right?
I was good. I was good with cards. I think a lot of our cast was good with cards, unlike, some of the other casts where they never leave the cards. They're always on the cards. Like Charlton Heston was always on the cards.
Well, he's Charlton Heston.
Can you believe we worked with Robert Mitchum, Charlton Heston, Roy Orbison, William Shatner? I mean, all of these.
Shatner's still with us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought he was old back then, but I think he was like 56.
No. He was pretty old. He's older than you think. Yeah.
Well, no,
he looks good.
120, isn't he?
No, I'm sure he's in his late 80s now.
Yeah, but that was 30 years ago.
Was it?
That we were on, or 34 years ago.
So Shatner did. Okay, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about Hans and Franz.
So Dana and I came up with Hans and Franz.
Yes. Let's talk about
we had been on tour with Dennis Miller right after the first year we were on SNL. So this was an SNL themed tour. We were doing stand-up. And in Des Moines, Iowa, Dana and I were we were all staying in this Red Roof Inn. And I was watching Showtime Up Close and Personal with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And we all love his accent. And he was talking about how they asked him, what does he do when he is on the road and comes into a town? Well, first of all, I like to slip into the nice light cotton shirt. And then, I go into town and, have some fun. I come back to the hotel room and I slip into the nice light cotton sheets, And I told Dana he should watch it. So the rest of the tour, we're talking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. We laughed so hard writing those characters. I've never laughed so hard with somebody because they're so pathetic and defensive and they never lift a weight in their life. And their sweatsuits are outdated. And, it's always about, hear me now and believe me later. If you think you could you do better than us, then, you've got a different thing coming to you. I could stretch your love handles into a bag and you could climb into the bag and carry yourself out of the trash because that's where trash belongs. Nice one, Hans. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Franz. You could, if you take your belt off, you cause a flabberlanche. So we would write that stuff, and it was just we laughed so hard because they were such pathetic characters.
What? Again, that was a memory of mine on Monday nights, you guys coming up, or on Tuesday nights, and you guys telling us what you were coming up with.
Yeah,
and falling on the floor laughing.
Oh yeah, it was. It really was funny, and then eventually Arnold, and eventually we got help from other people too, like Smigel a lot, and Downey, and Robert Smigel was great. And then Arnold wants to come on the show. And Dana and I are like flummoxed. Well, why would he want to come on the show? We're making fun of him. We thought maybe he's coming on to kill us or something, or to break our legs.
It's everybody's flattered.
I know it. I learned that later.
Yeah.
It's just to have their name mentioned on there. It doesn't matter what we're doing about them.
You guys were trying to emulate.
He was our distant cousin.
Yeah.
So he comes, they get us on the set. They said, Arnold's in his dressing room. He wants to talk to you guys. We were like two kids going to the principal's office. We were blaming each other. You came up with it. No, you did. I said, don't do the Austrian accent. He's going to know, or the gap. So we get to his dressing room and his name is on the door. His name is so long, it went onto the wall a little bit, We open up the door and I'll never forget this. It was full of cigar smoke and he's sitting on a chair across the room. We could barely see him through the smoke. And he's got a cigar in one hand, a big old stogie. And in the other hand, he's got the script that we wrote for him. And he looks up through the cigar smoke and he goes, hello, fellas. Now how am I supposed to do the accent? So right then we knew he had a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
But he loved it. I mean, he used those characters, things for a long time, like all the phrases we had. Still does to this day.
That's great. Do you remember a sketch that I wrote, I think with some other folks, when it was you were an advertising executive who bought commercials for TV. And we brought or whoever was in the cast was trying to get you to put on the Country Music Awards a toothpaste called Sparkle Bright. You remember that piece?
Vaguely.
The whole joke in it was
By the way, Al, let me just stop. I'll be watching reruns of that show sometimes. They just come on TV, and I'm in the sketch, and I have no idea. It's like I've never seen that sketch before. I think, what is going to happen here?
Well, that, to me, that was the advantage of not having a huge cast.
Yeah.
Haven't you been struck with how large the casts are these days?
Incredible. I mean, it's like a 20-minute intro.
Yeah, it's like 20 people.
Featuring, and then featuring, and also a guy we got off the street, that had a good bit.
I mean, you guys basically had, who was in your cast?
There was 8 of us.
Yeah.
And then there were some peripheral people like you and
Well, we were
Whitney,
writers.
AJ. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's in the old days.
And Conan would get on.
Now I complain like an old man. But in the old days, in the first iteration of the show, we had 7 cast members: Jane, Lorraine, and Gilda, Garrett, Chevy, Belushi, and Danny.
Yeah.
So 7 people, which meant they all got on every week.
Right.
And that gives you confidence, right?
Yeah.
Because you're just on, and you now can't remember a sketch you're in. Well, that's because you were probably in so many sketches.
Also, because once you finish a Saturday night of sketches, you completely wash it out of your head, and you make room for the next week. You know what I mean? And plus, you're not really spending a lot of time memorizing lines because they're on cue cards. So subsequently, it's not like that's going to stick in your head unless it's a sketch you really liked and you remember. Right. Yeah. Like for me, it's like The Bathroom Attendant with Harvey Keitel. Do you remember that one?
I have that written down here. I wanted to talk about Bathroom Attendant with Harvey Keitel. It was a solicitous, invasive bathroom attendant. Wait, is that the right description?
Yeah, that's it.
Folding toilet paper, like you pull off some toilet
paper squares,
yeah, and fold them up for him and hand them to him. You gave him a newspaper that he could read?
Well, I've always had a problem with bathroom attendants. It's like, we don't need help. We've been training all our lives.
This is like the perfect, okay, I'm going to do a bathroom attendant, but carrying it to its extreme.
Right. Yeah. It's
and Harvey Keitel was sort of the perfect guy.
He was the perfect guy. So, I've seen all these bathroom attendants and what they do. It's unnecessary stuff. Here's your towel. Let me dry your hands for you, and then there's some candy up here. And then they have a tip jar, So I took it to the extreme where it's a very small bathroom and just enough room for a toilet, no stall at all. And I'm in a tuxedo and very proper. And he comes in, he thinks somebody's in there using the bathroom. I say, oh, no, I'm sorry, sir, I work here. And it kind of startles him. And he goes, "Oh, okay." And I say, "Would be going number 1, or will you be dropping anchor?" And so we go through the whole thing. He's unbuckling his belt, and I go, "Let me get that, sir." No, that's all right. That's all right. And then he sits down, and I say, "We have the New York Times, we have the Post, we have the Wall Street Journal, we have High Karate, we have Calvin Klein cologne, we have Brute, And then no, and he takes a newspaper. And he holds it over his head because he's laughing, And then in the meantime, I'm folding toilet paper, putting it on the sink, getting ready for him to use it. And the spray, the room spray.
Yeah, right.
And finally he goes, he's done. He's done. He gets up. I'm trying to help him pull his pants up. No, that's all right. That's all right. I got it. And then I'm brushing him off, the cat roller and stuff, getting hair off of him. And then I kind of hold the tip basket out just nonchalantly, and he puts money in there, and I go, "Oh, thank you very much," as if I wasn't expecting it.
As if it was a surprise.
Yeah, and then he leaves, and then Farley comes in. "Oh, hey, Jack, good to see you again." He's my regular.
No, that was a brilliant sketch. So many of your sketches were attitude. Your attitude whenever you have to decide something that's obvious.
Yeah. Well, another sketch that I forget his name, Dan, was it? He was a guest writer, I think. He wrote PIPI, Politically Incorrect Private Investigator. Do you remember that?
I remember the premise. Who was in it?
Oh, it was me and Catherine O'Hara and Tim Meadows. And basically, I come in with a trench coat, like a Columbo kind of a guy. And it's it's a classroom. And Catherine O'Hara is distraught, crying over this body of a dead man, who was Tim Meadows, I think. And I come in and I say, "What's going on here?" I pull out my pad, and she goes, "The professor was just killed or something." And they take the sheet off of him, and it's I think it was Tim. We go, "How could this is not a professor? He's obviously he's a black man."
Right.
He's like a politically incorrect private investigator, and everything. It was like there was a doctor so and so. Well, that's a woman. How could that be? I thought you said it was a doctor. Yeah, it's a woman doctor. So that was another one that kind of walked the line back then.
Reminds me of something you just recently put up on YouTube or something, which is talking about you're in Colorado and talking about skiing.
Yeah,
and going to, I don't know.
It was learning how to ski. and understanding how they label the trails.
Mm-hmm.
Green.
And you had no clue what the trails were,
No.
and you stopped off at some place?
Well, there's green, that means the easy trails, and then there's the blue, intermediate, and then there's the black for very difficult trails, black diamonds.
Right, but you weren't aware of
I was not aware of that, and I asked the guy I pulled over at the convenience store, and I asked the guy behind the counter, I said, what's the best mountain to go skiing around here? I don't know anything about these mountains. He goes, well, I like Copper Mountain. But a lot of people don't like to ski there because they're afraid of all the blacks. And I don't know that there's black diamonds, he's talking about. He goes, but I don't mind the blacks. I have a lot of fun with them. And I'm thinking, this guy's a racist, man. I can't believe this. And he goes, but you know what? Yeah, some of them not very well groomed. And he said, but if you want the good white powder, that's where you got to go. So that was essentially the bit,
So you've been on tour a lot, I take it.
I am on tour, and people can find out what my touring schedule is by going on my website, kevinnealon.com.
You're hilarious.
Quite
when
so.
When you did me a favor and opened for me when I did a thing in Hollywood.
That's right. Oh, yeah, that's right.
And you killed.
That was a good crowd. I think we have the same crowds.
Yeah, it was a good full house, and you just killed. A couple of things. Football in college, you were the quarterback for your football team.
You were always so, I think, impressed with my history in football, because we would play in Central Park, and you were a bruiser. You would come in really hard. You don't want a lot of elbows and stuff. You don't want to be near Al Franken when he's rushing in at you. He's very, very, very tough player. So, yeah. So
I'm short. I'm short. I have
but
to.
You're like a bulldog.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, I loved sandlot football. We always played football, and we had helmets we wore and shoulder pads. And
really,
we would play the gangs.
You're
across
playing
town. Tackle. We would play this gang. I mean, a real gang across town, and some of them had helmets, some didn't have helmets, but we all had helmets. And we would play at the football field when it was empty on Sunday, and we had no refs or anything. It was just all out football. So we were pretty tough, and I had a good arm. And I was kicker too and a punter. And so when I'm like graduating college, my friend Bill comes up to me. I never played in high school, like organized football or college football. My friend Bill, who used to lifeguard with me, came up, and he always wanted to play football too, and so did I. He goes, hey, I found out if we take one class, a night class at Fairfield University, 3 credits, that'll make us eligible to play in the football team. They have a club football team. So we signed up for criminology. It was a night course. And I think we went to 3 of those courses, but we were eligible to play football. So we went out there, we got the uniform, the helmets, and these guys weren't very good. They never won a game in 10 years. So the starting quarterback gets hurt. It
gets less impressive.
Yeah, less impressive. But it didn't matter to me what it was. I was just happy to play. So, we had some serious coaches there too, and good managers. And I remember trying out, and the coaches were really impressed with my arm. And then I start kicking, and they're looking at each other like, who is this guy? And I kept going back further and further to kick through the field goal, the place kick. And then they started betting. They wanted to bet on whether I could get that, 10 yards out or 5 yards more. And so I think I won about $20 on that tryout. So the starting quarterback got hurt. And by the end of the season, I was voted MVP, and my friend Bill was nominated All-American. So anyway, I loved doing that. I loved playing that. And I was working in a factory at the time too, because I was just out of college. And I remember I was in a helicopter factory, Sikorsky Aircraft, where I worked for 2 years after college. And I would go to work. I mean, total contusions all over my body from getting hit and, running. And, I ran a lot too with the ball. But yeah, I would go to this factory, and people go, what happened to you? I said, I was playing football over the weekend or whatever. And so I worked in that factory for 2 years. And the reason why I quit, I had BS in marketing, where I learned about Subliminal as well. And the foreman comes up to me. He goes, what's a young guy like you doing working in a place like this?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it. And the truth was, I said, well, I'm just working here enough to pay off my college loan and to get some traveling money for Europe. And he looked off and he kind of smiled, and he goes, yeah, that's what I said 20 years ago. And it scared me so much. I think a week later I quit.
Yeah. Now you live in the Pacific Palisades.
I lived in the Palisades. No, so I was the honorary mayor of the Palisades. I lived there for 12 years, and so many memories from that place. My son pretty much grew up there. And
How old is he now? He's like
he's
18.
Yeah. So I moved out of there 2 years ago. We sold our house for that very reason, because we were afraid of the fires and also the rattlesnakes, because we lived up in the Highland area and it was very dry.
So you got out of there before the fires?
Before the fires. Although there were fires when we were there. I would see fires from my balcony that were like maybe a quarter mile away. So anyway, yeah, so we moved away from there. But and our house that we lived in was totally destroyed. And all of our friends, everybody there lost their homes. We had a lot of friends there. You know, Martin Short lived there, Billy Crystal.
And what's going to happen to that whole area? Because
they're going to rebuild it. And I think they're going to have some kind of a composition of these homes that are fireproof. But, you know, it's not just the material burning, it's what gets into the house, and it's the toxic fumes and all that. So I don't know what they should do with that, make it maybe a KOA campground or something. But I think people do want to move back. That's always kind of amazed me in California, whether there's mudslides or fires that totally destroy this area. The people, they have that desire to go back.
So where did you move to? Where'd you move?
We moved by UCLA.
Okay.
We live in a dorm. No, I live near UCLA, but we were in the evacuation red flag zone. So we almost had to move out of there. And it's interesting when your house is being threatened, and I was out of town at the time. So I called my assistant. I said, would you please go back to the house? Because it's about to, it may be burning, and I need some valuable things out of there that I didn't know I would need to take. And it makes you realize what is really valuable to you. For me, it was external drives that had a lot of pictures on them. Right. And other business stuff. And then I had a guitar, a nice Gibson guitar that I wanted him to take. So a few days go by and the fire hasn't hit us yet. And I'm thinking of other stuff now, other stuff that I could need to get out of the house. So I send them back. You know, it gets less and less each time I go back. And, you know, eventually it was, could you get that mechanical pencil that's on my desk? It might be near that eraser. Grab the eraser too.
And nothing happened to your house.
Thankfully, nothing happened, but it kind of put a scare in us living in a canyon and having everything so dry.
I want to ask you about how many shows you do a year.
People have asked me that before, and I don't know. By shows, do you mean cities I go to or actual shows? Like I could do 5 shows in one weekend in a city.
Well, how many cities do you do?
Well, this year and last year was a lot more than typically. I would say probably I would do like weekends, maybe 35 weekends, maybe 40 weekends.
And how often do you change your material?
It's constantly changing, constantly changing.
Do you remember the piece, and I wrote this, about interested?
The porn review, which was a big thing for my, to this day, people say, oh my God, that porn review thing you do, it was so funny.
Do you still do it?
No, it was either between that or the black ski thing. Those are my 2 big crowd pleasers right there. No, I don't do it anymore because, like I said, I'm always evolving, and I did that for a long time.
Can you do it for us? You remember?
You want me to? You wrote it.
Yeah, I wrote it.
Okay. I don't.
Okay, I wrote this for you on Update, right?
Weekend Update.
Yeah.
And it's evolved a lot since then.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, here's the crazy thing, Al. I get a call from Hustler magazine, and they want to know if I would review 3 adult films for them and do a little write-up for their magazine.
These are adult films.
These are adult films. Yeah. And, you know, it's not really something I do, and I don't want to really have that reputation, but I love to write. I really love to write. So I said, yeah, sure, go ahead and send them on over to me.
That's a good premise.
And
the wrinkle.
So, okay, so the first video was called Wanda Whips Wall Street. And this is starring Jessica Jameson, very attractive. Found myself interested right away. Then I got more interested, very interested, and then suddenly no interest at all. The second video was called Delivery Boy. And this was starring Tina Wadsworth. Great story, great production value, interested right off the bat. And I got more interested, very interested, suddenly no interest at all. I left the video running. I went into the kitchen. I made myself a sandwich. I had a Diet Coke, some potato chips, came back into the living room. The video was still running, found myself interested again. Interested, more interested, very interested, and suddenly no interest at all. Okay, the last video was called Rick and James play day. Very skeptical at first. Very skeptical. Very skeptical.
Rick and James.
I said, I got to be honest with you. I was very skeptical about this this video. Skeptical, more skeptical, very skeptical. Somewhat interested, more interested, very interested, and then suddenly no interest at all. Then ashamed, concerned, sad, disappointed, angry, mad. Someone interested, more interested, very interested, then suddenly no interest at all. Then I rolled over and went to bed. That was your bed.
That was my bed.
And
it
sort
killed.
of.
So talk about now. We did talk a little bit about Tuesday night and how much fun it was. You got tired early. You went out at 2.
Tuesday night wasn't as much fun for me as it was for you or some other people. And that's based that whole routine of writing all night Tuesday was based on the original show, where people were, doing coke all night and able to stay up and would bring the sun up every morning.
When I ran for office in Minnesota, the first interview I had from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, the guy asked me, when you were at Saturday Night Live, did you ever do cocaine? And I said, yes, but I only did it so that I could stay awake long enough to make sure that Belushi didn't do too much. He wrote it up as Al Franken acknowledged doing cocaine at Saturday Night Live, but only so he could stay up to make sure that actor John Belushi didn't do too much. Belushi later died of a drug overdose.
Oh man.
That was my first brush with political reporting.
Yeah.
So we've talked about Chippendales. Your hiking show are you still doing the hiking show?
I still do that. You did one of them, as a matter of fact, as my guest. I've been doing, for, minus the COVID years, 7 years, 5 years total of actually hiking. I've done like 150 of these hikes, over the period of time. Everyone from, you, Conan O'Brien, Tom Hanks the other week, Paul Rudd, Sheryl Crow. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. When I first started, it was just with a cell phone. I would hold the cell phone out. I was hiking with Matthew Modine. We were both.
Then you got one of those. What do you call it?
Then I got a selfie stick with a GoPro at the end of it.
So that was high tech.
My material,
relatively.
Yeah. Well, GoPros had different generations that got better and better, but all of my technical stuff got better over the years. So if you start watching from the beginning, you see it. I even went to a drone. I have a drone now that I fly, but I would edit. I edit myself.
You have
too.
A drone?
Uh-huh.
So the drone catches you guys.
Yeah, I'll take the drone up
from the sky.
From the sky, or I'll have it in the woods. And you'll see us walking by. I've crashed about 7 of these drones, and I send them back to the company. I fix them and send them back. But it really adds a nice element to it. I've gotten really good at it. Like it'll come down the trail, go right over our heads.
Wow.
Or it'll be a shot down thing. We're walking under it. You see the top of our heads or whatever. I mean, it's, I think I'm at the top of my game now, but the editing takes a long time. I had to learn how to edit. I had to learn how to fly a drone. And
so you don't have someone edit for you?
No. In fact, whenever I show up for a hike, people normally say, where's the rest of the crew? Yeah. I said, I'm the crew here. Let me put this mic down your shirt. And it's been fun to do. But every time I decide that it's too much work, I'll say, okay, I've done enough of these. I want to have time to do other things too. Somebody will come up to me and go, dude, I love that hiking show. Who's on next? Oh man, don't ever stop doing that thing.
Oh, so, there you go.
There you go. I remember we were hiking at Will Rogers State Park, which is no longer there. And
that
burned down.
Yeah.
And there was a guy coming down from the other end of the trail down the hill from Canada. He was from Canada. And he said how much he loved the show. I think, wow, you walked all the way from Canada to tell me how much you like the show. That's a fan right there. But yeah, it's been on for a long time, and people do like it. And sometimes in a club, I'll talk about this hiking show. And, at first it was just a smattering of applause. And then it's like maybe a quarter of the room now has seen it. And it entices them, other people, to go home and watch it.
You talk about Farley for a bit.
Yeah.
Remember when we played basketball?
Yeah.
And it turned out Farley was actually quite a good athlete.
Yeah.
And graceful.
Very graceful. That was the thing that shocked me. Well, first of all, you got to remember he played rugby in college, and he wasn't always the weight he was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always amazed that someone carrying that much weight when they're agile like that. It really doesn't make sense to me
Right.
because it's not often you see that. Even he did the skating routine
Right.
in 30 Rock,
Right.
and how good he was, great and good at falling. But yeah, he was amazing, but a train wreck, as we know.
Yeah.
Well,
He was brilliant.
he was brilliant.
And,
Yeah.
he evidently had his issues.
Yeah, he did have his issues. Did you hear the story about, I think Jay Moore tells it the best. Farley comes up on the 17th floor of the writer's wing, and Sandler's office is there. He shares with Tim Meadows and Spade, and Chris Rock is nearby. And Farley comes in and he goes, "Hey guys, I'm going to drop my pants and making this nicer, stick my butt out the window and take a big old dump down on the 50th Street. And they're egging him on. They go, "Do it, do it." So sure enough, he drops his pants, he sticks his butt out there, and he takes this big old dump, but he's not out far enough, so it lands on the windowsill.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still there to this day. It's a big stop on the NBC tour.
That was Farley.
That was Farley, man. He
Yeah.
was amazing. Yeah. People love him. They still love him. Him and Norm. I just wish Jan Hooks got more accolades than she does. I think Jan was right up there with at least, the top three.
Oh, Jan
Gilda,
was amazing.
yeah.
Jan was amazing. You said she was very insecure about how she was.
She had stage fright. I mean,
Uh-huh.
immense stage fright. And Friday nights often I would be with her trying to assure her that she's going to be great because she is great.
And she was always great.
And she'd get out there and all of a sudden it's like she had no stage fright at all and she would kill it. And then it's the same thing over and over every week.
Wow.
So, it was kind of torture for her, but yet it must have been gratifying in some respect. That show is not for everybody. There's a lot of great improv players that just could not handle that schedule, whether it's writing all night on Tuesday or, the quiet competitiveness that goes on there. People always say it's competitive, right? Yeah, but in a quiet way.
I also think the cast members, 20 cast members or whatever they have now, makes the competition ridiculous.
Oh my God, I can't imagine.
And it means that not everybody gets on every week. And when you had 7 like we had, or 8 when you had, everybody gets on. Everybody gets to do stuff, and you stop being nervous if you're doing enough stuff.
Yeah, after the first year, we all decided we should unpack our suitcases. We're staying, because we were living out of our suitcase the first year we were on. But yeah, I can't imagine with all the cast members they have on now. It's, if you're sitting on the bench too long, you see what's in the cards for you. You're gonna You got to get in there. You got to get in there. And sometimes I remember Bernie Brillstein once told me, as it was near the end of my career, he said,
"Wait a minute, you're not at the end of your career at SNL."
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. I thought it was the end of my career, but anyway, it was the last season where I was taking off Weekend Update, but Bernie Brillstein was able to get me another year on there. But he goes, you got to really work hard. And I always worked hard on that show. So I didn't know what he was talking about. And so somehow, because Bernie Brillstein was also Lauren's manager, and he kind of, he was inspirational in getting that whole show together, I think, because he managed Lorne Michaels. So he got me that extra year, and he said, but you got to really get in there and do good work and get up, And I said, okay, Bernie, I'm going to keep doing what I always do. He goes, you got to be more of a squeaky wheel. And I didn't know how to be a squeaky wheel. I'd be more passive aggressive and just sulk, walk off.
Yeah.
So only thing I could do is close to a squeaky wheel was like an annoying wheel, like the nails across a chalkboard. Yeah. So I don't think maybe that was the next to last year.
So you did a year after you left Update.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only because of the pull of Bernie Brillstein. But there was also a period where Lauren was hesitant about asking me back. I can't even remember why, but I had to wait a long time that summer before I was invited back.
Oh, and that stuff stings.
Well, it's a good it's a good base to start forming some neuroses and insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had a great childhood growing up. My parents were great. And I know some of the actors on there didn't, unfortunately. So they looked to Lorne as a father figure. And even without looking to him as a father figure, he's great at what he does. And, I like Lorne a lot. To this day, 30 years later, I could be tying my shoelaces. And sometimes I'll think, what if Lorne would like the way I'm tying my shoelace right now? Or do you think I should do like a loop, 2 loops and then tie it? Or are these shoes the right shoes?
Yeah. Well, he has that kind of effect.
Yeah. He's really good at what he does or the position he's in, and he hires the right people mostly. When I left SNL, my time was up. I was ready to go because I think I was bored. I was going out and doing sketches with food in my mouth from the craft service table. I was still chewing it
Really?
as I was doing my sketches. And I had friends in my dressing room crowded in there who were like talking about, and they had the TV on, but they were watching something else. And I could almost hear the blender from out of the stage. I thought it might be time to leave, And
How many years did you do?
I did 9 years.
9 years.
And then I thought, would there ever be anything better that I'll be going to after this show? It didn't matter because I was ready to leave. And then Weeds came along on Showtime, Weeds with Mary Louise
Yes.
Parker. And that ran for 8 years. And that was also one of the highlights of my career, aside from doing The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and also doing SNL. But that show was really such a great stepping off project for me from SNL, even though it wasn't live.
And I think the cast won an Emmy for the whole cast.
Yeah. But the funny thing about some of these shows, it's like that show, The Bear. Is it called The Bear or
Mhm.
Bear? And it's the same with Weeds. They're in the comedy category. And it's really difficult to win a comedy award when you're up against real comedy shows.
Right.
And instead of having these dramatic shows that have some comedic, instances in them. So I think we could have won a lot more if we were put in a different category. But I'm not big on awards. I even asked you, I said, do we win an Emmy ever on SNL? Because
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. And
No, we did. Right.
Yeah.
So there. You didn't put them up on your mantle?
No, I don't even know where it is. Do we all get one or a
Yeah.
copy?
Yeah. It's one of you could get an Emmy for, and I don't think they did it by an episode. It was about for the year.
Yeah.
But, yep, we got Emmys. We all got Emmys. Well, thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for coming here with a cold. I know you could have done. I could
came-
have done it at home, but I asked you
I came here with a cold and what else? An attitude.
the right kind of
The right kind of attitude. Because I'm what? The attitude guy. I could play any attitude.
That's right.
Like right now I'm playing an attitude. Like I'm really having fun. No, this was great. Thanks, Al.
Well, I hope you enjoyed listening. That beautiful music is by Leo Kottke, the great Leo Kottke. I want to thank Peter Ogburn for producing this podcast. We'll talk again next week.